Welcome to episode 6, Parental Rights and Parental Input. I'm going to start with an amazing statement. Parental rights are God-given. They are not bestowed on you by the government yet. But there are people who are actively trying to change that, and I will focus on that in more detail later. But the school provides a service, and it's provided with your money. So it's not unreasonable to expect that you have a right to say what should be part of the curriculum, particularly when it comes to family and moral values. But at this point in time, parental input doesn't exist. And I'm going to start with a situation regarding the Our Schools survey. And a family reached out to the Ministry of Education with concerns. Now, the Research Ethic Boards requires consent for all surveys. And this is why when you're on the phone, they say, would you like to take part in a survey? Because you need to give your consent before you can be part of it. Now, the response of the family was, given that these surveys are given to minors and there were questions regarding sexuality, when was our consent as parents given? So the response or the answer to the questions was, oops, those questions were not supposed to still be on the survey. And the changes were made on February 28th, and the survey was made available February 19th. The last year's survey came up online, and so before those changes were made. And this one particular school didn't catch that, so they went ahead with the old survey. Now, the Ministry of Education went on to blame the company that created the survey. Now, if you understand the totem pole and the hierarchy of the system, the Ministry of Education is where everything stops. The buck stops there. So it's not unreasonable either to expect them to do their job, which is to not just stamp the survey with an approval and send it out to schools, but to actually read it first. And the family says, we do not trust the questions from the Our School company. This is the second year that there were questions I was not comfortable having my children asked nor answer. It plants seeds in their minds when they're not yet ready to process those ideas. The other questions they had were, what happens with the results and what is the motive for asking these questions? Now, here's two of them that they shared. What do you consider yourself as, female, male, or prefer not to say? And I'm sorry, my just head went to teenagers, because they talk to each other and they look at each other. Let's, the whole class, let's all put male on the survey. Let's all put female. Let's all put prefer not to say. I'm just saying that results can be skewed, and we don't actually know, because we don't know. Now, the other question was, do you support LGBTQ plus 2 spirit? And the answers given, the options were yes or no. Now, support, I did a lot of definitions in episode 5, but support means to bear the weight of. Now, no student should be required to bear the weight of another student's personal decision. And there was no neutral option. There's no, fill in the blanks. Like, I'm just trying to pass math. I've got lots going on in my own life. I don't think about it. I think there are many students that just prefer, it's like, this is taking up mental space and I just don't want to think about it. I'm not mature enough, and it's constantly in our face. Now, survey people, this is important, are good at composing surveys. They get paid a lot of money to do it. Word choice and phrasing can cause you to reveal information that you didn't realize you were revealing, and questions can be composed in certain ways to guarantee a desired result. I caught a government survey a while back, and they asked a question, how do you think we're doing? And these were the options. Things are great. I'm happy with the economy. There is no need to make any changes. There was no negative options in the choices given. There was no other. There was no place for comments given, even at the end. And so they can truthfully say we surveyed 10,000 people, and they all think we're doing a spectacular job. Now, the comments online were hilarious, but people were annoyed. It's like, do we look stupid? they were just frustrated. Like, what was the point of this? The point of it was to say we did a survey and everybody loves us. So the bottom line on surveys is that there's no parental input until after. Now, I'm going to quickly go to Deepening the Discussion, Gender and Sexual Diversity Handbook. The initial one I had was from 2015, and I passed it on to somebody else who was really interested. But the 2023 one has additions. Were you reached out to for input on this edition? Well, the handbook isn't for you. It's for the teachers. And so when we get to this page 8, the components of human identity, it says, this is a friendly infograph. Infographics just give information, friendly, unfriendly. I found that an interesting adjective, that visually represents 4 components of human identity. And the terms associated with each category are ever evolving. So this is the first one, and it's the one I'm going to focus on today, and it is assigned sex. Are you ready? The biological classification of a person as female, male, or intersex. It is usually assigned at birth based on a visual assessment of external anatomy. Of course. Now, it was always assigned at birth, including intersex, until a few years ago when somebody had the idea that biology is irrelevant, even though they mention biology. And so it's assigned male at birth, assigned female at birth, and it's not identified. It's assigned. Now, regarding intersex, I just want to give a little detail here because I was curious and I went and looked something up. Because we're talking about having people do research and looking for data and looking for statistics and then recognizing where's the data coming from, what company, what group, what institution is putting the data forth. And so I kept seeing that it's 0.05%, but the recommended figure is 1.7%, is estimated at 1.7%. So we have no statistical evidence to back it up. We just want to say that it's 1.7%, which is about 2 per 100 births. Now, I kept digging and looking a little farther down the line, and it began to, there were articles that said that it's estimates, again, estimates, of 1 in 1,500 to 2,000, or 0.007%. So why the skewed data? Can we not just explain that some people are born and just like they might be born with some other physical disability, something didn't quite genetically go right in the process, and that these people are going to be required to make a difficult decision one day. Now, the later you go, the more one will be predominant than the other. And there's no rush, just like you wouldn't rush any other physical decision that you need to make. And that you may not have to process this, but a few people in the world do. And so be compassionate to them, because just like you didn't choose who, when, or how to be born, they didn't choose this. And I think that that's an easy discussion to be had. And I think it's an easy outcome to have come, that we have to be compassionate to people. So my question is, were you consulted regarding this edition? Because they have given themselves permission to ask, are you a boy or a girl? Now, this is in a document intended for school division staff, not parents or guardians. And so it will be implemented by the design of it from K to 12, depending on the teacher. And we have friends all across Canada that have just like, we went to enroll our child in kindergarten, and the teachers go down, hi, how are you? Are you a boy or a girl? And they made decisions regarding their education from that encounter. So, which you have the right to do as a parent. So educators, and this is a quote from Deepening the Discussion, bring their life experiences, their histories and cultures into the classrooms. They bring personal assumptions and beliefs about schools, families, culture, and relationship. It is called a worldview, and it is just fine for teachers to have one and share it. It is not okay for it to be enforced on someone who has a different one. So are students allowed to analyze, investigate, and formulate their own worldview? Are they shown how to think and how to come to their own conclusions? We welcome parental input. We want to hear from them. This is the last point. Parents voted in this community, in the elementary school, to keep the Lord's Prayer in school. The vote was ignored, and they took it out without telling the parents. So we welcome parental input, and we want to hear from them. That's not the end of the statement. There isn't a period there. It says we want to hear, but we hold ourselves to no obligation to take anything into consideration or implementation, even though this is a publicly tax-funded institution. In 1.5 years of research and monitoring, I have not been able to identify a single documented piece of evidence of parents or guardians being consulted beforehand for any curriculum changes. Somebody reached out to me. They've been teaching for 27 years. They said, I've never seen parental input. So an important distinction that we need to make here just quickly before I close is that what comes out of the classroom is shaped more by the policies, the handbooks, and teacher development days than the curriculum. So we seek input from the parents. I know it's written in there. I've read it. But like the quote from The Princess Bride, I do not think that word means what you think it means. Take care.